Hey everyone, thanks so much for coming out. My name is Dustin Coates. I will be talking to you today to tell you a little bit about myself. I am the voice search lead at Algolia. We're a search API company. You've used us even if you don't know you've used us. I'm also the co-host of a podcast called VUX World, which hopefully you've heard of or listened to. If you haven't, what are you doing with your lives? Get onto it. And finally, author of voice applications for Alexa and Google Assistant, a book that's out on Manning Publications. But I'm not here to talk to you about me. I'm here to talk to you about the sommelier, the automat, and the sommelier. This isn't a talk about grocery stores, but I do want to tell you a quick anecdote just to start off. There's this chain of grocery stores in the South with a bit of a funny name called Piggly Wiggly. It was started by Clarence Saunders back in the 20th century, and his whole idea was before he started Piggly Wiggly, if you went to a grocery store, there was a counter, and all the food was behind that counter. And you would ask the clerk for what you wanted, the clerk would go bundle it up, and then ring you up at the end. It was a very personal process. The problem is that personal costs money. And Saunders thought that he could lower the price of groceries and thus increase sales overall by having people go get their own groceries. Piggly Wiggly was a big success, and Saunders, ever the entrepreneur, thought, well, why stop there? Saunders took inspiration from the automats. These have been around since the 19th century and in fact are still around today. And what they are they serve up food, meals, snacks, and everything is behind glass doors. It's pretty similar to the vending machines that you're used to. And this is what Cotusal was. Cotusal was the name of it. Saunders had really a knack for naming things. And people went to those windows, they got their food, and they did pretty much everything themselves. Cotusal was not a success at all because it was very impersonal. And even though it was cheaper, it just didn't quite work out. In grocery stores today, if you go, you actually have a mix of the two. Grocery stores, you're still going and you're still picking out your own food, but what you see increasingly is that there's people there, people who are there to guide you. These people might be handing out samples. They might be doing live cooking, or they might be the sommelier who know everything that there is to know about wine, including the fact that you're not just buying wine based on the bottle's label. Grocery stores have realized that you need to balance finding and discovery. Finding is all about sending your consumers, sending your customers to what they're looking for, while discovery is all about showing them things that they didn't know that they wanted. There needs to be a balance between the two of them. With voice applications today, these voice apps tend to be very similar to those automats, those vending machines, where you push the number and you get what you're asking for. And this is somewhat understandable because sommeliers have this logical capabilities that are unique to humans. But still, we can add in some sommelier-like capabilities into our voice applications without much work and without being in the year 2025. We can do it today. And the way you can do this, if you want the TLDR, is through enhancing resolution, taking advantage of context and personalization, using progressive revelation, and being where they are when they are. Now, when I say enhanced resolution, what I mean by this is entity and intent resolution. And certainly here, I would recommend that you use the built-in tooling if you're building for Google Assistant, if you're building for Alexa, use that built-in entity resolution tooling that's there. But certainly don't stop there as well. You can use entity resolution for a lot of different things. Use it for misunderstandings. If there's certain phrases or certain words that are misunderstood most often and don't make sense in the context of your voice app, use entity resolution for that. Use it for narrowing concepts to nouns as well. Who is the artist whose name is a symbol? Well, that's Prince. That's how he's referenced in our database. You can use it for disambiguation as well. One of the things that I really like doing in my voice applications is actually no longer narrowing, but expanding, where someone can say, I want the score for New York. Well, is that the Mets or the Yankees? By using entity resolution, you can say, what that person just said can actually refer to multiple things. I better ask what the user meant. And also use resolution not just for entities, but also intents as well. One of our customers at Algolia, they have built a customer service chatbot that's all about ticket deflection. The problem is the NLU system that they're using, a full 40% of those requests coming in do not match to an intent. What's happening is that the user is asking for something that the developers or the designers haven't thought of before. And what they do is they say, okay, well, I don't quite understand what you're looking for. Let me go ahead and send that to our FAQ. Let's send that to the help desk. Let's see if there are any articles that might be able to answer your question. We could do the same with Alexa. We could do the same thing with Google Assistant as well, through multimodal or through sending cards or information to phones, saying, I'm not sure what you're asking, but here's something that might be able to help you out. Also with this resolution, especially with entities, go beyond just the built-in tooling. I truly am surprised. I may be biased, but I truly am surprised that more people are not using search to back up that entity resolution. Search has been around for dozens of years, and it's well known for being able to connect people, what they're seeking, to what there is out there. Use that for your entity resolution as well. If somebody asks for the team that won the 2005 World Series, a good search engine that handles natural language will be able to resolve that for you. This is what a sommelier does. A sommelier doesn't force you to use the perfect terminology in the perfect order, using exactly the perfect words. The sommelier will be a little more sensitive to how you're asking. Also, that sommelier is going to understand things about you and understand things about the context where you're asking for things. I won't go into too much detail here, one, because we only have 12 minutes and we could talk about this for hours, but also because there are tools that will help you do this. But what I will say is that if you're not pulling in information about your users, you're not pulling in information about the time of day, what recent requests have been asked, the location, these things about the context, you're not really aiding in that finding and discovery. Then also, another way to use that context is through progressive revelation. This is quite a simple way to do it. There's two main ways that I see in almost every good voice app. The first one is to help your users when they're asking for something that you don't support. The first time you're going to respond with something pretty generic. I'm sorry, I don't understand. Can you ask again? The second time you want to get progressively more specific. Ask me for a movie time. And then the third time you might actually direct the user on exactly what to say. How about ask me for the movie times for Toy Story 4? This revelation is also used for when you realize that your users don't know all that your app has to offer. We talk so much about discovery and how important and how challenging that is in the voice context. We can do that with progressive revelation by taking stock of what our users are doing. If you see that they're coming back over and over again, but they aren't using certain functionality, you can tell them that. Okay, I added these to your wish list. By the way, did you also know I can remind you when the price has dropped? And then finally, be where they are when they are. Certainly, voice first is sexy. It's very exciting. Having these devices in our home is very, very exciting, and I don't disagree. However, there's an opportunity for you to take what you're building for voice first and apply it to your other areas too. If you have websites, if you have mobile apps, here's your opportunity to really build a relationship with your customers and your users. One of our clients, one of our customers, does this to great effect. They sell groceries, and their goal is to be wherever people are when they think about buying groceries. And so they've added voice into their website. They've added it into their mobile app. They have a voice first assistant action as well. So that when someone is on the bus and they're thinking about what they want to eat at the barbecue over the weekend, or they're in the kitchen and they're cooking chicken, no matter where they are, they can speak with that company, they can speak with that brand. And over time, this is developing that relationship. Just like you might develop a relationship with your sommelier, or you might develop a relationship with those people at the grocery store, who can then in turn provide you with better guidance. Overall, these toolings, these approaches will both help you improve finding and discovery, where in voice, this is the only platform where this is true. On web and on mobile, usually you increase finding and you decrease discovery, but through voice and conversational, by taking these quick actions, you're able to aid your users both to find what they're looking for and discover things that are new. Thank you very much.